Okay, hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for this Seneca webinar on an introduction to Premium. Hopefully you are all in teaching in schools that have just recently signed up to Premium, or you might be someone who's just had Premium for a while but haven't really engaged with it, and you want to just learn about how it all works so you can get the most out of it for you and your students. My name is Richard, and I work for the team at Seneca. I do a number of different things, but mostly look after sort of UK schools and help making sure that schools get the most out of what we have to offer. And that's what brings me in front of you today. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to do a mixture of sharing my screen and these sort of, me talking to you like this. If you have any questions, you'll find on this Zoom call, you're not able to unmute yourself. But what you can do is just, if you use the chat that's at the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you have any questions, please do just pop them in there as and when they come up. And what I'll do is I'll pause periodically throughout the session, and I'll come back and answer any questions that you have. So do just feel free to type them in whenever they come up, and I'll get back to you with an answer at an appropriate moment. So what I'm going to kind of talk about in this session today is I'm going to first of all give a bit of a background on Seneca and how it's come to be developed into the platform it is today. And then I'm going to show you what you and your students and the parents of your students will gain by being part of Seneca. So I'm going to show you through a demo of how the student platform works, so that when students come to you and say, "Oh, sir or miss, I can't get access to this," you know what they're seeing, you understand what they have in front of them, and you get an understanding of that. But I'm also going to show you how the teacher platform works and how you can set assignments, monitor progress, and then I'm going to talk about the parent platform as well, which is another really valuable part that you should know about. So I'm going to share my screen now, and as I say, any questions, do keep them coming in as and when they come up. So hopefully you can all see that in front of you now. If you can't, please do just someone let me know. So let's start with what Seneca actually is. So Seneca is a homework and a distance learning platform that can be used by, as I've mentioned, students, teachers, and parents. And some of the best things I think are worth mentioning up front about what Seneca is and how it works is that, number one, it's based on cognitive science. So the latest in terms of how we understand learning to happen in the brain. We've worked with a team of scientists that are experts in this from an education point of view to basically develop the platform using particular strategies that have been shown to be effective through cognitive science. Everything on there from your point of view in terms of how you can interact with your students is automated. So the marking of students' work is automated. That includes their feedback and also the results you get through your teacher platform. So you're able to see exactly what your students haven't understood. And everything on there is also adaptive. And what we mean by that is the differentiation that you would do in your classroom manually, it happens automatically in Seneca. So you can set a piece of work for two students, and you can stand behind them and you could watch what was going on. And you'd see two very different sessions based on how they had answered the questions in the session. So maybe this student is really struggling. They'll be given more support and guidance and questioning around the easier concepts within a topic. And this student will be pushed on, maybe if they're doing really well, they'll be moved on to sort of harder concepts quicker. Now, what that will do, obviously, is firstly, it will keep their attention. As you know, pitching content at the right level is so important. So we sort of make sure that keeps their engagement in what they're learning. But also it will help to maximize their learning longer term and make sure that what they're seeing is appropriate for them. For their current stage of learning. So I mentioned the cognitive science that we've worked on to develop the program. If you're not familiar with cognitive science, I can really recommend this website that's mentioned in the bottom left corner here, the Learning Scientists. I'm not going to go into any real detail about any of these 6 strategies, but basically these are the 6 strategies, these concrete examples: dual coding, elaboration, etc. These strategies are what we employ within Seneca, and basically how we can make sure that we are having a positive impact on students' outcomes. Now, as I say, we worked with this team. We obviously wanted to make sure that our implementation of this theoretical approach was effective. So what we did was we completed a randomized controlled trial with just over 1,100 pupils. And when we compared it to other independent learning tools like revision guides as an example, we saw that very similar pre-test results were observed in the test groups, but we saw the post-test results to be over twice as effective when Seneca was being used compared to revision guides. So we see that as sort of an effective validation of what how we've implemented the platform and how it works for students, for the benefit of students. Now, that research was peer-reviewed and published, so if you'd like to read about it, a quick Google search, you'll find it. If you just type in like impact Seneca learning, it should be one of the top options, or obviously feel free to ask any questions if you'd like me to go into a bit more detail with that. Now, in terms of what we have on Seneca, so we have, obviously I'm not sure what key stages and subjects and things like that you teach in your schools, but we have content that goes from Key Stage 2 right up to the end of A-level, and everything on there for Key Stage 2 and 3 is linked to the national curriculum, and everything at Key Stage 4 and 5 is linked to the specific exam board specifications. So all of our Key Stage 4 and 5 courses are exam board specific, so you can be reassured that when your students are logging in and using these courses, that they're learning the content that's exactly within the specification, so they're learning exactly the right things. And the majority of our users don't have premium, so we also offer a free service to over 4 million pupils, and the parent platform is again available to 45,000 parents at the moment, but we're sort of working on getting more parents involved in that, and about 200,000 teachers are using Seneca as well. So there's lots of people using it, which is great. And yeah, as I say, my role is basically helping those people to get the most out of the platform. So that's a bit of background. You may be thinking, okay, well, this is all great, this all sounds lovely, but what actually is Seneca? So I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about what we offer to you guys as premium schools, and how that's going to work. So as I mentioned, there's 3 different platforms. You've got the student, you've got the teacher, and you've got the parent platform. Now, there's each of those groups will have their own accounts and things like that, and they'll be able to access different things within their platform. So what I'll do is I'll start with the student platform, and that has sort of split into 2 main functions, if you like. Number 1, you've got your learning features, which are essentially different learning modes that we give to students to help them with their learning. So we have, first of all, just our regular go in and study, and students can just do that, and any student can do that whether you're a free or premium user. You can go and study any of our free courses. But you also get with premium 2 extra learning modes. One is called smart learning mode. And the best way to think of smart learning mode is kind of like a timetabling tool, if you like. So what it does is it takes all the data we have on students, so how well they've done in different topics, how well they've done in a particular topic they've studied recently, how long it's been since they've studied different topics, and a whole host of other bits of data. And we basically tailor what they should go to next based on what the science suggests. So I'm sure you've probably heard the phrase before, the best time to revisit something is just before you forget it. And we try and use that principle through Ebbinghouse's forgetting curves, which is another piece of research that we've sort of based this on, to try and make sure that students are revisiting the information at just the right moment, to make sure that they, first of all, it's sort of fresh enough in their mind so they're not accessing the same content over and over again, but they're revisiting it just before they forget it, so that then they're being reminded at just the right moment. And that helps aid retention in the long term. Now, the second learning mode we have is called wrong answer mode. And what wrong answer mode does, it kind of does what it says on the tin, but it basically brings all of the wrong answers together into one place for students to focus on the areas of particular courses that they struggle with the most. So again, potentially a really powerful tool for students to engage in the hardest part, or the bits they find hardest of the curriculum. Now, we then got the learning courses. Now, as a free user, you have access to over 200 free courses. But when you sign up to premium, the amount of courses and the different types of courses you get completely is much larger. So you get over 800 premium courses when you come to sign up for premium. So what I'm going to do is just going to pause there for the moment, and I'm going to go and actually show you what the student platform looks like, and then I'll come and come back and talk through the other two platforms for you. Obviously, as I say, if you do have any questions, just keep them coming in. So starting off with the student platform, if you've logged into your account already, you will find that this is what it looks like when you first log in for your student platform, and you just need to change your account type to teacher. But what you'll see is your students will have these courses, the recent courses they studied at the top here, and then they've got an assignment, if any assignment's been set by their teachers. And then we've got this thing called the Memory Palace. Now, this Memory Palace is basically just places around the world that students can collect them by completing studying. So at the end of a learning session, they have a chance to win one of these places. You can see here, I learned something on active transport in biology, and I earned this place in Mexico City. So students just enjoy collecting these different places around the world. There's nothing more to it than that. And then they also get these different bits of data down the side here. So the knowledge score is probably the only one that needs explaining. And that's basically a combination of questions answered and the number of questions they got correct and the amount of time they studied on Seneca. And it's just a number, it goes up and up and up. It's not diagnostic in any way for you as teachers, but it allows you to, allows students to sort of, compare with their peers and things like that. So they enjoy seeing this number go up and up. Now, when a student wants to complete learning, if it's an assignment, they can just click Start Learning here. They can look for different courses here, or they can just click Add Courses if they want to find a new course. So when students come in here, they get, first of all, like a search bar, so they can search for a course if they wanted, or they can use these filters down the side here. So for example, I'm going to go in to find a GCSE course. You'll see these purple and these white courses. Purple ones are the premium courses and the white are the free courses. I'm going to go and study, let's say, a chemistry course. Just to mention, we have 25 different subjects. So everything from your biology, chemistry, physics, maths, etc., to your DTs, your food preps, your geographies, English, languages, all of that, all covered, sociology, etc. So there's 25 different subjects on there. And as I said earlier, everything's exam board specific. So let's choose our exam board as AQA, just as an example for this one, and where tier is appropriate and the different types of courses we have is appropriate. You can select those as well. So I'm going to go for a higher tier course. And you can see here we've got different courses available for the students. There are a number of different courses. I'm going to show you this course here. And I'm going to just talk through a couple of the other types of courses you have. The best thing you can do is go onto your own account, and I'll show you in a minute. When you log into your account, you'll see at the top, you have this student platform button here. If you want to go and see what courses are available for your subject, you can just click there and go and try some of them out. So for the different types of courses we have. So we have our standard courses, which are basically, they cover all the curriculum content through our courses, that the same ones that are freely available to anyone. And they are using the adaptive courses that I talked about earlier. So the differentiation happens automatically. We've then got diagnostic misconception courses. And what they do is they basically aim to diagnose where students have picked up on the most common misconceptions within a course, and we aim to, first of all, diagnose if students are struggling with that misconception, but also rectify it as they go. So again, you can have data. Standardized assessment courses are pretty self-explanatory. And then for premium courses, we've got sort of predicted paper courses. So these are exam style questions that students can log in and complete. As I say, the marking is all automatic and you get the data through to you. You also get hardest questions, which again, that's what it says on the tin really, but it's the hardest concepts within each course. We pull together and we give extra explanations, extra questions on those. Hyperlearning is sort of a short, sharp, condensed version of our courses. So say all the content's still there, but the way we break down the content is in much shorter chunks, with more images, more questions, more GIFs, things like that. Try and keep students entertainment. Students tend to like those. And then we've got a whole host of other different courses linked either to the curriculum Or we've got things like 4 to 5 boosters, which look at particular exam grades. We've got premium knowledge courses, which give access to, or are aimed at sort of the people aiming to 7 to 9s at GCSEs. And then we've also got uni application courses and driving theory courses if they're useful if you've got Key Stage 5 in your school. Anyway, best thing is to do, as I say, because I've just given you a whole host of information, you probably won't retain all of that, is you can find sort of a description of all these different courses on our help pages, or just go and try them for yourself and see what you think. So let's go into this chemistry course that I've opened up here. And what you'll see is we have the different, if you're familiar with the chemistry AQA spec, this is all taken from there, all these headings. So a student can go in here and select whatever it is they want. Let's go on chemical cells. So I can click here on chemical cells and I can learn about that. And I can just start learning down the bottom here. And the first thing a student will always see will be a bit of content for them to digest. And then basically they'll be repeatedly quizzed on this content. So here I need to fill in the answer. And you see it's automatically marked. It gives me instant feedback as a student. Here I can, again, I'm not sure what the answer is here actually, so I can just click check down the bottom here and it gives me an update of the answer. Again, instant feedback. And what the system will be doing is it will be picking up as I go through this what I do and don't know. So again, I've got some more content here to have a look through. And again, I can see some interesting information. I then click continue when I'm ready. And again, if I'm not sure, I can just continue. And the system will be adapting as I go through. You'll see sort of here, we've got the same question coming up. It's trying to get me to recall that information from before. So it's adapting as I go. And there we go. So I got 57% there. So you can see as a student, you can get some level of understanding. This data is then obviously sent to you as a teacher. Now, every time you complete a course, what you have the option to do is try again if you want to. So if you want to go through and do it again, that's absolutely fine. And this is where sort of the first bit of wrong answers can really be demonstrated. So this wrong answer extra learning mode you get with Premium, this will basically give you access to, give the students an opportunity to revisit those wrong answers and focus on that area of the course that they struggled with most. So you'll see here, it's moved me from here, where I can see all the courses, moved me into the wrong answers mode. And I'm going to stay on that same course for this time, and I'm just going to see these questions I got incorrect. There you go, and you can see I've got 3 at the top here, and they sort of fill in with this blue color when once I have answered them correctly. Again, if I'm not sure, I can just click continue. But you'll see here I've got different courses. It's encouraging me to focus on the ones that I struggle with most. So these top ones have the most wrong answers in them. So say I wanted to say, okay, I've got 8 in the pH scale. Let's go and have a look in this, and let's try and see if I can get some of these picked up. No, that's obviously not indicator, probe, there you go, okay. So that is not a question I can get answered correctly. But anyway, so that is one way for students to really focus on the areas of the curriculum they struggle with most. But the other one is this timetabling tool. Do you remember I mentioned smart learning mode? And that's this little tab here. Now, smart learning mode, again, it suggests in order what I should revisit, when I should revisit it. And when it's turned on, when you're in this tab, it will just take you through each section one by one. So it's suggesting that I revisit this reactions of alkenes section as something that is good for me to revisit based on the data the system has on me as a student. And it will, adjust this accordingly as I complete more work. And as there's more work completed, it will get smarter and smarter because it will have more data to work with. So that's in terms of the student side of things. Remember, we get the premium courses, we get the free courses, we also get the premium learning modes as well, smart learning mode and wrong answer mode. So to go back a step, and what I'll do is I'll just share with you the teacher platform. and what that includes. So Teach Platform has, again, two main features. One of them is to track your students' progress, and the other one is to set assignments, and I'll show you how both those work in a second. One thing to say on setting assignments, though, is we have, obviously, when you set an assignment, the student completes it, you get lots of nice data. You're then probably thinking, okay, what interventions can I put in place about that data? We offer what's called a smart reassignment as well. So you can automatically put interventions in place, which are based on the data, again, that you have from a different assignment. So again, let me show you how that all works. So what I'll do just briefly is I'll just move this on. I'll just change my account type to teacher, sorry. So we can see what Teach Platform looks like. So when you log in, if you need to create a new class, you literally just click this big button, Create Class, and you give it a name, whatever it is you want to call it, and press Enter to create that class. And you then got basically 3 more stages to get your class set up. The first stage is to add some courses for your class for your students to study. Now, if at any point you need some help during this process, it's very straightforward. You just click this Get Help button, and it will take you to a video which will sort of demonstrate what you need to do. But otherwise, if you're ready, you just click Add Courses. And you'll see this same list of courses that we had earlier when I was searching for a course as a student. But this is basically you saying to your students, okay, guys, you're going to be in my class. These are the courses I want you to access. So just to make it a little bit easier for your students. So you can hear, again, you can use these same filters. So I can select GCSE. I can go in and select whatever it is. I can select my, what should we go for? Let's go for a RS course, just as an example. I can choose the exam board, and then I can just choose as many of these courses as I wish. You've got free and premium courses here, so make sure you get all of them and add them in. And then when you're ready, you can just click Add Courses at the top here. And that has added those 7 courses to my class. Now, the next stage is to go ahead and create my very first assignment. Again, if I need help, I just click Get Help. But otherwise, you just go in and create an assignment. Now, those 7 classes, those 7 RS classes, courses that I've added, you can see here are listed there. But what I'll do is I'll just choose one of them that I want my students to do an assignment on, so maybe a homework task or something like that. And you'll see that if you're familiar with the RS course, I can go in here and I can just tick the sections I want to set. Just as an example, one of these sections is one of the things I showed you earlier. So we looked at what was it, the chemical cell earlier, didn't we? So that's just one of these sections. And you can select as many as you want from different areas of the course, whatever is right for you. And at the top here, it gives you a little estimation of how long we'd expect that to take. So this would be 18 to 30 minutes, depending on the student. And when you're ready, you just click Assign, say that I want to assign that assignment. And again, you give it a name and a start and an end date. Now, obviously, if you want to plan ahead into the future and settle your assignments in one half term, this can be quite a good time-saving thing to do. You can use this start and due date to basically do that. So what you can do is just click choose a start date in the future, and this assignment will only pop up for those students after this start date has passed. Now when you're ready, just click create, and that creates the first assignment. Now as students then, you'll notice we haven't added any students yet, but as students start to join this class, they'll automatically be added to that assignment. But that is our next stage. We need to add some students to the class to allow you to keep track of progress. So again, if we need help, we can, but otherwise we just go and straight invite students. Now, there's a number of different ways we can invite students to a class. First way is to just copy a link. So basically the way it works is students have a link shared with them. And when they click on that link, they are joined to a class. So again, I'll show you what that looks like. So this is me clicking on that link, and you'll see what happens. So the students are taken through to this page, and give it a second to load. It says you've just joined Premium Webinar, which is the name of the class that I set, and it just says to the student that as a teacher I can now see the data, and if the student clicks continue, it will then take them through to the class. You'll see these 7 courses I added, and also that assignment that I set all ready to go here, and the student can just start learning straight away. So so the ways you can do that, you can first of all just copy a link to any shared area. So you might be on a VLE or a Moodle or something like that, or maybe something like Show My Homework, or you can do it onto Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or just send via email as well if that's useful. And these will automatically generate the links for you. And the other way to do it is to share this sort of joining code. Now students can just type in this joining code manually, and again they will join the class. And the final way is that we offer the opportunity for you to print out business card sized bits of paper, which will allow your students to access the cards. So again, they just tells you, go to this place, go to this website, type in this code, and it gives those instructions, or the students can just scan this with their phones. So quite a nice thing that we see a lot of schools doing is that actually they put this QR code up on their interactive whiteboard, and the students just all get their phones out, if you're allowed phones in school, and they just zap this this QR code, and then that automatically joins the whole class at once. They just have to sign in, and then they're all sorted. So it's quite an easy way to get everything set up. So that's in terms of inviting students. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move on to a class that actually has some students in, because this whole, actually, sorry, one more thing before I say that. The other thing you can do, which is really useful in terms of setup, is to add teachers to your class. So this can be useful if you co-teach a particular class. So you might have a teacher you share the teaching with, but also, because what that will allow you to do is basically allow them to have access to the class list, allow them to set assignments, allow them to see the data and all that stuff. But it's also useful if you either are a head of department or you want to share data with your head of department. You can add the head of department to your class, and then that will automatically join them to your to the class, so that they can access the data. And the same would apply to a SLT member if that's useful. So I'm going to flip onto a class that actually has some students in, because this next section will make a whole lot more sense if it does. So here I am in another account. I've got 2 classes here, so I'm going to go into this year 11 group. You can see I've got 30 students in this class, and I've had a number of assignments set. I've only got 1 teacher, but I could add more if I wanted. And what I can do is I can add an assignment, or I can go and see some past assignments in this assignments tab. So let's go on this assignment here, and you can see I've got 1 upcoming assignment. If I click here, you can also see the different past assignments as well. So I'm just going to find one of the old assignments that we have, and I'll show you how the data is presented. So these are a number of different old assignments. And if I click here, you will see I'm opening up the data, which is kind of like your mark book, if you like. So you can see exactly what your students have and haven't done. So at the top, you can see the name of the assignment and the course it related to, and also some stats on how many completed it, how many it was late for, and how many didn't complete it. And then if you open this up as well, you can see the different average scores for the different sessions I set. And then scroll down is where you can really start to drill into the data and really understand where your students have or haven't understood the work. So you see here nicely red, amber, green, and you can see the status here. So the timer being it was late, it would be a tick or if it was on time, and a cross if it was not complete. But you can sort by any of these columns. So let's say I want to see who's done particularly well on exception words. I can click here and I can see Giovanna and Felton have struggled a little bit. If I click again, I can see Lorena and Vida have done really well. So that's useful in terms of identifying where students are struggling. But then also I can see different metrics as well. So at the moment I've got best score selected, but I could choose to see the most recent attempt. And I can just click that and you can see the data all changes. And again, if I choose one of these other options, the worst score, for example, you'll see a lot more red, and then average score, whatever it is. Okay, so you can choose from best score, worst score, average score, most recent attempt, the number of attempts they did, and the total study time, so you can see how well your students did across different metrics. Now, I mentioned the smart reassign feature earlier. So this is where you as a teacher can say, okay, I see the data, this is useful, but I want to be able to put some intervention in place. And in just a few clicks, you can do that using smart reassign. So if you click smart reassign, what you can do is then see how you can select how you want to reset this work. So for example, I want to set it for anyone who got less than 80% and anyone who didn't complete it. You can just select those two, and then you can click reassign, and you can give it a name, whatever it is, and a start and an end date, just like before. But this time you don't have to click all the little boxes because to choose the topics you want to do, because it will do that automatically for you based on the data we have below. So I click reassign. You'll see here, I've got the option to share this assignment via a link or by Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or email again, if I want to. But what you'll see here is I've got basically a shorter list, so it's not been set for all my students. And you can see for each student, it's just set the ones that they met that criteria. So in this case, either less than 80% as their best score, or they didn't complete it. So you can see here I have a student, Vida, she got less than 80% in this understanding new words section. So as you can see, she's been set to this as a NA at the moment, means she hasn't completed it. But this NS just means not set, basically. And you can see the different things that students have been reset based on what they've, based on the data, basically. And this will start to fill up again as students complete the work. Now that's one way you can set work and you can see data on Seneca, but the other thing you can do is you can also see independent work. So say students work outside of an assignment, you're going to want to see that data, and you can do that through the Insights tab. Now what you can do on Insights is first of all select the course you want to see data for, select one of those metrics like we did before, and then a date range that you want to see data for. So you can choose for like the last 24 hours or the last year, whatever it is. Let's just leave it as last 30 days, but you could also set a custom date range as well if you wanted to. So you could choose wherever it is you want to set the data for. And when you're ready, you just want to choose the sections that you want to see the data for. This is this for this geography course. So like before, I can tick these, or I can just select the top to tick all of them at once. And when you're ready and you're happy with what you've selected, you just click select sections, give the data a second to load, and there up it pops. Again, nicely red, amber, green, so you can see exactly what your students have and haven't understood when they're studying independently over this last 30 days. This will also include work completed through assignments, in case you weren't sure whether that was completed. Oh, sorry, included. Now, everywhere that there is data, be that in assignments, insights, or in the students tab, which I'll show you in a second, there is an option to download it to CSV. And what that will do is it will basically allow you to download a file which will contain whatever data is on screen at that time. And it will just allow you to open it into a spreadsheet, which then obviously you can use it in whatever way you want to once it's in a spreadsheet. Now, the final place you can see data is in this Students tab. And this is sort of your highest level overview. Again, you can choose the course and the date range, but then you can see sort of high level statistics like learning time, average score, sessions completed, and the number of correct answers for these students. So we see a lot of teachers using this as sort of their way to incentivize students on Seneca. They use this as sort of their leaderboard, if you like, so that they can sort of share this with students so that you can see overall learning time. So that is basically it with the teacher and the student platform. As I say, I imagine there's lots of information I've just thrown at you there. So I imagine there are a few questions that you guys want to answer. So do start to get them coming into the chat, so I can answer them in a second. But what I'll do while you're thinking of those questions and while they're sort of coming through is I'll just explain the parent platform. Now, the parent platform has one main focus, and that is basically to track students, track their child's progress. Now, I'm sure you're aware there's a whole host of research that suggests that increase in parental engagement can have really positive effects on student outcomes. So this is something we're really trying to work on, getting schools set up with this so it's as effective as possible for schools, and they can sort of reap the rewards of it. Now, what the parent platform looks like is this. So you'll see here, a parent can log in, they can have multiple children on here, and they can see, again, data from the different date ranges, just like you can as a teacher. But again, they can just see the sort of high-level overview of what's happening on each course. So for this biology course, for this child, they can see the total learning time, what their average score is, and the number of sessions they completed, and the number of correct answers. So again, this is really a good way for parents to be involved in students' learning. And you can see if you just change these dates, it just changes accordingly. And yeah, it's a really good way to keep parents involved in students' learning, but also from the teacher's point of view, it helps to make parent communication much easier, because obviously this happens automatically. Parents have some insight into what is going on in school, what's going on in homework, and helps the sort of communication between parent, student, and teacher. So that is basically everything I wanted to share with you on the student teacher and parent platform. There's probably one other bit that is worth sharing with you, which is basically the most sort of common mistakes or the common things that I see schools struggling with when they first sign up to Premium. So I'm just going to run through these quickly. So the first one is no access to Premium. And if that happens, what you can do is, if you just get someone to try and preview a Premium course, if they're able to access it, then that is a Premium account. So you not worry about that. If you can't access it, all you need to do is just log out and log back in again, and make sure you do that with your school email address. The reason you have to use school email address is because that is all the accounts that we've upgraded will be based on the data we've been shared that's been shared by your school, which will be your school email addresses. The second common mistake people make is that they see, when they log in, students are apparently completing work, but the student data isn't showing for them. Now, there's a few different reasons that can happen. First of all, you need to make sure that the student is working on their Premium account. So that is the account linked to the class that you are teaching. And also, so make sure that account is linked. So say we have a lot of free users who just use it independently, and you might find your students were using it independently before your school signed up to Premium. Now, if they're using it independently and they haven't linked anything to your class, then obviously you won't be able to see the data for that student. But when you come to actually connect those accounts, then you'll be able to see the students. So make sure that they're on the correct account and they're working on that correct account, and also that they've linked to your class. Next thing we hear quite often is that data isn't showing. Now, the reason for that could be that if you're in assignments, is that first of all, assignment data will only show us the data between the start or after the start date. Okay. So it will basically only show you that data. So anything before that won't show up in your assignments data. And if you're looking at filters, so those little last 30 days I said, or the different courses that you can select, make sure you've just selected the correct filters at the top of those pages, because that's another reason that sometimes data doesn't show for people. Now, something else is that sometimes we hear that teachers or students aren't able to reset their passwords. And that is always because if a school is blocking our password reset emails. So all you need to do for that is, if you just, again, go onto our help pages and type in password reset not being received, there is an email address that you just need to whitelist. So you just need to hand that over to your IT team, and then that will all be sorted. So those are the four most common mistakes that we see schools making when they first sign up. And yeah, if you need any support with any of these, obviously we're on hand to help you with these. You can get in touch with us through the live chat on our website if you need any support or guidance.